walk into applause.
Isn't that great? Oh,
that's good. All right, we ready to get started? Welcome everyone to this celebration of the federal school choice law that was passed on the 4th of July. This is a momentous occasion, and I think everyone here should give themselves a round of applause for everything that you guys have done. So for those who don't know me, my name's Tony DeNicola, and I'm the chairman of the Invest in Ed Coalition, and I have many board members here, and all of you have been a part of our work over the last decade or more as we've been pursuing school choice legislation as a fair public policy to empower parents to choose the best educational environment for their children. And we are delighted to say that through the work of some tireless advocates on the Hill, we were able to deliver that on the 4th of July, and we're now all about rulemaking and implementation to make sure that that law goes into effect on January 1st, 2027, and affects and improves the lives of millions of students around the country for generations to come. So everyone here was a part of this enormous accomplishment, and historic achievements such as unprecedented school choice legislation is only accomplished through a strategic, coordinated, and dedicated effort and a team effort which included all of us. So thank you for everything that you all did. Briefly, I'd like to highlight what was included in the final legislation and how and why it was passed. So on the 4th of July, President Trump signed into law the One Big Beautiful Bill, which makes our school choice bill the law of the land. It is a tax credit scholarship mechanism which will generate billions of dollars a year in private charitable donations for use in K through 12 education, particularly for students to attend schools of their parents' choice. How did we get here? It took a multi-year advocacy campaign led by Invest in Education to educate lawmakers and the enormous coordination of a national group of coalition partners, organizations, and individuals, many of whom are represented here in this room, to develop a nationwide grassroots effort to work with members of Congress to educate them and to make obvious the public policy benefits of school choice and the political benefits of school choice. Quarterbacked by our outstanding DC-based Invest in Education team and using strategic partner organizations here in DC, working in tandem with that national effort, we were able to develop a political strategy and with some grace from God, a political outcome that delivered the historic school choice law. So we want to thank all of you for your efforts in that. And why was school choice able to get done now? Because school choice is a fundamental right of every parent as the first and primary educators of their children. And the U.S. consumers, society has realized the merits of the school choice issue. School choice works, and there's a great demand for it across the country. And finally, the lawmakers in Washington, D.C. have stood up, taken notice, and taken bold action. And we're grateful for those that have led that bold action, committed lawmakers who ultimately made it happen. So I'd like to recognize now, applaud, and thank our two most tireless congressional advocates who led the way to the federal tax credit scholarship program becoming a reality. And to my left are my two MVPs, Senator Bill Cassidy of Louisiana and Congressman Adrian Smith of Nebraska. It's not an exaggeration to say that I've spent a lot of time with Senator Cassidy and Congressman Smith over the last 4 years. We're immensely grateful for their their courage in taking this issue on when it wasn't as popular as it is now, and their perseverance in leading the issue through Congress over the last 4 years and developing an unprecedented level of support with over 180 members of Congress signing on to their respective bills in both houses of Congress. We had over 180 members on a bill that, when we started, had no chance of ever reaching the floor, and by the time we were done, became law. So I'm grateful for everything that you guys did. I'd like to share a couple of personal anecdotes of, in particular, moments of great leadership that these two men, and there were many of them, but two moments that I think are important for you all to know. Congressman Smith is a senior member of House Ways and Means Committee. And at a critical moment over a year ago, when Ways and Means was debating our bill in the committee, and there was jeopardy as to whether it was going to be passed out of committee, we had many conversations and many heart-to-hearts. And I will just tell you that the reason it was included in the House Ways and Means Committee markup is because of his leadership, his persistence, his credibility, and the respect he has within the committee, and his doggedness in making sure that he would take nothing but yes for an answer. And so eternally grateful for that. Because, for those of you who don't know, if that bill doesn't come out of Ways and Means and be ready to be included in reconciliation, we're not talking about this law right now. And there was a lot of debate whether we should take a suboptimal Ways and Means markup. And we talked a lot about it, and we all agreed the right thing to do was take the markup and move on to the Senate. And we would not be here without Congressman Smith's staunch advocacy for it. So I just want to thank you for that. Senator Cassidy and I go back a long way. He and I have done a couple of bills together. And so we have a great rhythm in terms of how we work together. And we both work for the same woman over there, so I will leave that aside. But we do whatever she says, and if we do that, then we're both happier, right?
That is not reverse polygamy. There's something else here.
So Senator Cassidy is the chairman of the Help Committee, and he's a senior member of the Senate Finance Committee. He played a crucial role throughout the Senate process. From day one, he was the lead sponsor, and he worked tirelessly to get members of the Senate on the bill. We ultimately had over half of the Republican senators on the bill, and he led throughout the process. But we all know that when the bill came over to the Senate through reconciliation, we had a tough go with the Senate parliamentarian, and that's an understatement. And I can tell you that without Senator Cassidy's leadership with the Senate parliamentarian, we would not be here today. He would not take no for an answer, or not take yes. He would not be swayed from getting what he wanted. I'm looking at Nick. His chief was amazing in this as well. And throughout that process, our bill was pulled out of the package at least twice, and it was put back in. And it was put back in because of the leadership of Senator Cassidy, the respect that he has amongst his colleagues in the U.S. Senate, and because of the leadership of Senator John Thune, Senator Tim Scott, Senator Ted Cruz. And so I won't name all the other senators that were there, but in the darkest hour, Senator Cassidy was leading the crew to make sure that our bill became law. And so with that, I'm going to turn it over to these incredible advocates on the Hill who made this this law a reality. Thank you.
And while we're giving thanks, Nick Mulling, will you step forward, please? Nick was my staffer who was just like not working just on this, but other things, and he helped make it happen. And as if anybody didn't know, Tony was the glue. Tony was working it. I kept on thinking, Tony, do you got a day job, man? But, you know, like, this was his job. And so I know you know that, but I just got to acknowledge that as well. Let me echo a little bit. First, everyone in this room is pretty well educated. And the education that we have received has opened the door for many things, including doing something like this. My own personal history, my family had moved 5 times in 10 years before we moved to Louisiana. And I asked my parents, why do you move 5 times in 10 years? And they said, when you move 5 times in 10 years, it's never good. And we moved to Louisiana because a friend called my dad and said, Jim, you can make some money selling to the people that work at Esso, which is what Exxon used to be called. And we moved down, and my dad hit his traction. And because of the power of education and having great parents, I am now, my dad having that job, making sure we got an education. By golly, I was going to college. I am now a physician and a United States Senator. That is the power of education. And I say that not because my story is special, because each of us has that same sort of story. And you know what we want? We want every child in the United States to have that sort of story. And we can recognize that some right now are kind of in an educational cul-de-sac. They're in a place which is not meeting the needs of that child, and the parent is imprisoned in a system in which she or he cannot choose the best for their child. This is the civil rights issue of our time. Why doesn't that child have the same potential so that when she or he is about my age, they can look back and speak of their origin story, and they can say, you know, our family wasn't doing well, but we made a change. And because of a scholarship, my mother was able to put me in a school, and that met my particular need, and I hit my traction, and now I am fill in the blank. That's what we want for every child in the United States. And we would be fooling ourselves if we said that was the situation now, but we can hopefully say that because of this bill will be the situation in the future. That's what Tony was thanking you about. Your place in the history, not just of our country, but in a bunch of individuals, a bunch of young people who don't yet realize, but they're going to be touched by this and their future will be changed, and collectively that will change our future as well. Isn't that great? But Tony mentioned there's still a lot to do. There's a lot to do. The rulemaking is going to be essential. When I first got here 16 years ago, and Adrian will remember a guy named Rob Andrews, a Democrat. He had been instrumental in passing Obamacare. I said, well, Rob, you passed the bill. He goes, yeah, but it's not law yet, because it isn't law until the rules are written. We need to advocate for those rules to be written in a way which enables a state to sign up as quickly as possible, for a donor to more easily donate, and for those SGOs, look at yourself, to be able to start making those grants. Now, one thing I want to emphasize, we hope the rules make it so that a state can opt in as quickly as possible. As I think about that, for those of you who remember the movie Harry Met Sally, when you want to spend the rest of your life with somebody, you want the rest of your life to begin as soon as possible. If we want these organizations to begin granting these scholarships, we want them to begin to grant these scholarships as soon as possible. Because we can imagine in Washington, sometimes we measure time in epochs. And we don't want this to be 3 years from now and we're still waiting for rules. No, we want those rules now as soon as possible. And that's what Tony is talking about. How do we influence that rule-making process? Other things we'd like to do, again, check the box. Oh, I can give $1,700 in my return. Doesn't cost me any more, but it goes over here and boom, what a great cause. Wouldn't that be a great cause? And that is our goal as well. Politics should not obstruct the work of the SGOs. And we're very aware there's some states, typically with a blue governance, which will resist this. And that's where you will come in once more. As an advocate in an organic level, telling parents that you have a chance in this state to have access to a scholarship that gives your child opportunity that she or he would otherwise not have if only our state government will choose to participate. The fight's not over. The fight's just begun. And so it's not just the rulemaking here, it is the decision-making in the state government, and that's where you, even if you don't live in that state, but with your range of contacts, can hopefully elevate that cause in state government, wherever that state is, and get them to opt in. We need 51 jurisdictions opting in to giving their children the opportunity to have a better education. Hard to argue against that, but some will. How can I conclude? I can say that we are participants in something that will absolutely change the lives of children and collectively help contribute to the better future of our United States. I'm going to ask one more time. I'm going to repeat. I'm going to say once more what Tony said. Give yourself a hand.
Well, good afternoon. It's great to be with you here. Thank you, Senator Cassidy. Thank you, Tony. Thank you to each and every one of you. As was mentioned, we've all been in this together. I also want to give a nod to my former colleague, late colleague, Jackie Walorski, who was carrying the bill until she sadly passed in a car accident. And I was more than happy to take up what she had begun, and because I care deeply about education, not just because I happen to have kids, but actually my professional background is education, and I've been in the legislature, city council, and Congress, but I've never been on the committee of jurisdiction. And when this opportunity came along, that in the Ways and Means Committee, that it was in our jurisdiction, and that we can help impact the future for education and families and kids all across America, I said absolutely yes. This is, its time has come, as has been mentioned. It's been, as you know, a bit of a journey. Some might call it gymnastics as well, watching the process and interacting and just participating at every step of the way. But it is my desire to dial down the politics of education funding, because it's dialed all the way up. And I say that as a former state legislator. I say that as the son of 2 public school educators, my mom all the way to retirement. I say that as a proud product of a public school. A high-quality public school in my home community, where we still reside. Very happy about that. And I know that as we look across America, which we are charged to do as members of the House and the Senate, that we've got some work to do to educate our children. And so I just think that as we forge ahead, and as has been mentioned, the journey is not over. But I was glad to stand with our governor the other day. Last week, I believe he was the first governor to opt in. Some might think that that was too high a hurdle, perhaps, but let's prove them wrong. And I think we've already begun that process in Nebraska, that we don't have school choice. We thought we had it for a brief moment, and they took it away. Won't get into all that, but I'm proud to say that my home county actually rejected the effort to get rid of school choice in Nebraska. But it goes far deeper than what a ballot measure might deliver, and quite honestly, even what a congressional act might deliver when it comes to the education of our children. And other gatherings here, the coalition, having students themselves who have benefited, very inspiring for me, that we can interact in nonpartisan ways. I've seen this issue bring folks together regardless of party. But when kids are the focus, party stuff all of a sudden gets pushed to the side. And I'm glad to be a part of that. So thank you, Tony. Thanks to all of you for your efforts in this. Like I said, we're all in this together, and the journey is just beginning. But I know that there are bound to be some very positive results on the horizon as we push forward. Thank you so much.
So those are the end of our formal remarks. We're going to remain here, and we can all chat, have a drink, and celebrate. And as you all know, we have got a bunch of other events over the course of the next 24 hours. And so thank you all for being here, for all that you've done, and we look forward to spending time together to celebrate here afterwards. So thank you.